And she wants your
Welcome,
attention.
everyone. It is Wednesday, July 10th, 2024.
Testing. Are you good?
I think I'm on.
Try to talking to your mics a little bit.
Okay, so it is Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, 4:15 p.m. City of Merrill City Hall Council Chambers, and I will call this July meeting of the City of Merrill Park and Recreation Commission to order. First item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll
We
second.
have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2, claims for June. I think we have 2 pages of claims. Are there any questions on page 1 of the claims?
I have some questions just because I wasn't around at this time last year, so I just don't understand what some of this stuff is. The Permar security inspection, what is that?
We have to have our fire system inspected at the Smith Center. Where are you at, on the second page?
Oh, I don't know, I wrote them down. Not sure. It was $590.
Yeah, probably the Smith Center and or the pool. We have to have them both inspected, but we have the Smith Center one, I think, is the one that's on here.
Okay.
We do have to have that for insurance purposes and fire code reasons. Our Permar, and it's our sprinkler system that's monitored, has to be certified each and every year, just because we have public occupancy.
Okay, that makes total sense, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the almost $1,000 in advertising, is that normal that we advertise that much for our programs, or that's nothing out of the ordinary?
It's lower than we normally do. We got cut a little bit last year, but yeah,
Okay.
we do. Some of it is we get into some of the guides that they do, like the new Merrill guidebook. We do some wedding planners and other things like that. We try to target a few different audiences for Smith Center rentals, and then we do some
Oh.
things for our rec programs, Aquatic Center. So
That's smart, the wedding ones are really smart.
Yeah, we try.
Okay. And then my last question was the summer playground refunds. I know we talked about once that there was like a time frame in which you could cancel, or,
For park shelters.
okay, so summer playground,
So summer playground, they're in this instance, it could have been somebody that signed up and then found out that it didn't work for them, couldn't work for them, but we do have, I think it's 30 days in advance for that as well.
okay,
And/or for sure, once the program starts, there are no refunds.
okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you, those are all of my
Yeah.
questions.
You bet.
Any other questions on page 1 of the claims? Or page 2? If there are no questions on the claims, I would entertain a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. Next agenda item, general, discuss and potentially approve 2025 capital requests. So I think everyone should have gotten in the packet, I believe it's our second view at this, but a list of 9 items, I believe it is, that have been put forward that we consider for capital requests this year. I believe, Dan, your priority order is just that. I mean, that's what you're
Yes.
feeling we should put forward.
Yep.
And did you get, I think you're going to talk to the city administrator about a little bit of direction. Is this, they are wanting that now, and it's time to take action and put
Yeah.
our recommendation forward to council?
Yep, so we had a department head meeting yesterday, actually, and I know that they at least want a list, and it doesn't need to be an approved list, but they want a tentative draft list by the 19th, I believe, of July. But, I think we're probably at the point where, and it's up to you guys, if we're ready, we can approve this list or a number of items off of the list, however you want to do it. But either way, I have to at least tentatively turn something in so that they can start the budgetary planning process sooner than later.
So you're not saying an approved draft list again?
So if we don't approve, if the commission doesn't vote on or act on anything today, I will turn in this list and put draft on it
Got it.
if we need to meet on this again. So
I think
we,
it'd be maybe nice to have everybody on the final one. I mean, me personally, I think I'd like to see maybe 4 things instead of 9. That's just my personal opinion, though. I think the skates are a good one because you had kind of said that they pay for themselves pretty quickly, like we talked about last time.
Mhm. So if you were to pick 4, which 4 would you pick?
I mean, I don't work there every day, so I don't know that I necessarily have as much insight in it as you do. I think I would be looking for your recommendation. I mean, there's a pool heater on here, so I would think that obviously that would be the most important. And you've said that the basketball courts are pretty much rubble, right?
Yeah, we saw them last year on the field trip. It is not much. There's not
Okay.
much left. That's still a repeat one.
Dan, I had a few questions. The Streeter Square basketball court, the size of it, are you increasing it so
Yes.
that it
Yep.
goes past the stanchion posts, you know?
Yep. So we would remove both of the posts and the hoops on there, and then do it the same size as it is at Streeter. Yeah, the one that's there is basically about a half court.
Oh, so you're also making it, increasing the distance between the
Making
the
it regulation.
hoops
Yep.
and also running the pavement past the stanchions so they don't end right at the post.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Would we rotate it to?
We'd have to look at some layouts. There is enough room. We'd have to maybe just slide it a little bit to the west and then have it go towards the center of the park a little bit.
All right.
But
Yeah, because I know some balls roll downhill. So.
yeah, and that would be one thing that we could do fairly easily. Would just on the south side that's closer to downtown where there is a hill, we could put a fence, just one
That's
panel of
true.
fence there.
That's true.
Also, Dan, on the Normal Park pathway project, I know reading your write-up that you had sent out to us some time ago with your concept map on there, regarding the funding, if I understood it right, the majority of the funding for the Normal Park pathway and increasing or the pavement and or concrete around the buildings was going to be coming from the city or Merrill City Band Fund?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
All of it is.
But we have 25,000 here in the budget as well, right? Or are those two different requests?
Do you mean the concrete?
concrete-
Yeah, you got finished concrete around park shelters, including
Oh.
Normal. So I just wondered if those were overlapping or?
No, it's different. So the Normal Park one in here, you could just scratch Normal. It would, that we were going to do that if we got funding around, because all of the drip lines, we're trying to eliminate those drip lines from having gravel or granite. So that.
So we would scratch that,
Yep.
Normal?
Yeah, it would still exist, but where it's in parentheses, you would scratch Normal.
Okay.
Yep.
And then on the Normal Park design, I know, reading the Historical Preservation Committee minutes and following those, that there's going to be a Normal Park kiosk sign. We talked a little bit about that last month. And I also mentioned that we're going to be providing one for the Ballmans, for the gazebo. Just wondering where those locations were going to be. And maybe it probably would be good to have a more detailed plan, since you're going to be sending it out for bid. And I know you provided a concept here, but would we have the Public Works or Engineering Department get something a little more detailed or finalized?
They were the ones that provided that map that you have. That was from the engineering department. And then to go back to the Historical Society, they will have to come to you guys to have that sign approved.
The normal come to us here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just because it would be good to know where their sign's going so we can locate the other one. And I don't know, maybe that's an offline collaboration or something on the design there. And also, you know, that old song from the 60s, Paved Paradise, put up a parking lot?
Yep.
So I'd hate to see Normal become, you know, all paved and concreted, et cetera. It's, I get the entrance from the southwest corner. That's great idea, et cetera. I'm just wondering if we can have any input or at least get a look at that as we get closer and before it goes out for bid.
Yep. Well, so, and I've been working with Rod and Caleb now on this, and the estimate, and we just talked yesterday, is under $25,000. So we don't have to bid that out. The asphalt will cost less than that. So, I mean, if you have any input, so the design that I provided is the design we're working with.
So Caleb or Rod wouldn't be providing a more detailed plan of the pathway so how do you bid that? Or how?
It's measured up. So are you looking for like one of those pretty 3D renderings, or is that what, I don't know.
Or somewhere in between? This is just magic marker on a, you know. We have a larger engineering department now, right? With the addition
I
of
would say
Caleb?
probably not. We have a city administrator and public works director who took over probably more work duties.
Yeah.
And we have a assistant city engineer who took over most of the engineering duties. So I don't think it's larger. to
Yeah.
my
We-
Okay.
We don't, yeah, and I know that they don't have
But
the 3D capabilities, so, you know, what you saw is what we were proposing. If you I mean, if there are things that you would like changed, I mean, that is well within.
Yeah, I'm just, when really dimensions is all, you know, so we know how wide it is and where exactly it's going to go. That can't take a lot of engineering time. I mean,
No,
that-
okay, and I
don't mean construction
Yeah, I thought I
drawings.
sent that out, did I?
You did, but I mean, to me, it's pretty vague.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it right here. Yeah, it's just magic marker on a PDF. I mean, so when you guys get closer, don't you provide drawings to the?
Well, I know that Caleb, the engineer assistant, we've had a couple of revisions. A lot of it's very, very similar to that, but I can send everybody the revisions. It'll just be blockier than that, and not in the magic marker.
Yeah, for example, how wide is it going to be?
8 feet.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just at least some dimensions on there and a little bit better, the final pathway.
Can do.
With, just so I understand too, or to clarify, with there was discussion at the Historic Preservation Committee meeting about an additional sign, but no formal request has come forward to us about
Correct.
there being a sign. So until that happens, we would have every say. I mean, we would have to approve that, just like there was, maybe not just like, but very similar to, there was a proposal for the wall of remembrance or whatever. That proposal had to come to us, and that's how it would be with that Historic Preservation Committee. If they get to the point where they are recommending it, then we would have to approve it or not, and approve a location or not, and I think go through a similar process.
Yeah, so wouldn't it make sense just to collaborate and get it nailed down? And if there is a process, if we need to.
Yeah, if
we
that's
need to.
forthcoming
Yeah,
from the
so,
Historical Society,
yeah,
our Historic Preservation Committee meeting.
yeah. And or the Bauman one I would bring it, I guess, to
Yeah.
this committee if I know what the form is or the proposal or whatever. But I don't have a location yet. That would be part of reviewing the design. You know, I'd like to know where they plan to put theirs. I mean, obviously near the gazebo is where the Bauman one would go.
Mhm.
And they are this, like I mentioned, that same standard kiosk that's been used
Yep.
so, okay. Just something to work on here, maybe in between the meetings, I guess.
Sure.
So
Are there-
Dan, I know that we had some conversation about this in the past, and maybe we can again. Is there a benefit to shortening the list? Or it's all whosever process it is at that time? So,
That is a good question,
yeah,
Joan.
so we're kind of,
So yes, optically probably yes.
okay.
I know usually by the time I get to city council there, and it has been said to me when we get there, when we have our discussions, you have 9 things on there. Okay, you know, and there's some people that look at the number of things. There's some people that look at the dollar figures. We could have one thing on here and ask for 500,000, and obviously we still wouldn't
Right.
achieve that. It just depends on we have a fair amount of turnover on our city council, so it'll be a new process this year. We're not in the middle of a term, so we kind of understand that. But yeah, I mean, I think that if obviously we always want to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. None of these things, we've had this discussion, and I will have this same discussion at a city council meeting in the future. None of these things on here are fluffy pieces. These are things that we in the park and rec world, through some pride in our property and facilities, feel need to be replaced. There's a few things on here that pool heater for sure has to be on there. I mean, that has to be. If we're going to pick
Right.
one thing, it has to be. But yeah, if we would go with 3 or 4, I could easily pick out the 3 or 4 that we should move on with, and then, the flip side to that then is, it adds up as we go. And I know that that's always that balancing act to getting things done.
Right.
Is when you put things off, they continue to deteriorate and they continue to cost more, and that list continues to pile up. I'm okay with doing, I mean, I work for you guys, so if you guys make a motion to pick item 1, 2, 5, and 8, thumbs up.
I have a question about the skates. Would it be a big enough order that we could go to a manufacturer maybe and say, we would like to order this, we'll put a sign at, whatever the manufacturer is, a sign up, and maybe they'll donate some of them, or is that something that we could maybe try, or?
It is something you could try. The one thing that, let me put it this way, the amount of donations and collaborations and other things that we do in a smaller town, we might be able to get some people, but when we go to the well too many times for too many things, people are going to, and there are some that do this because we go to them a lot, they get a little tired of us banging on their doors because it ends up being.
I guess I didn't make this clear. I think I'm thinking the skate manufacturers, maybe if you place a big enough order, do they say, well, we'll give you so many pair for the price of a lesser amount, where they're essentially donating some of them for a large order?
I don't know that. I'd have to. There are manufacturers.
I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah. That I don't know.
If it isn't that way, could we order maybe $3,000 worth of skates this year and then try to get it every year?
Oh, yeah, without
And
a doubt.
maybe add that as like a fifth item or
I
something.
mean, if you want to trim that down, we can certainly do that.
I don't know, that's just
Yeah.
my opinion, I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, if we go with.
Because then if we have a rotating skate thing, then it isn't 10 grand all at once. You'd think that they would all go out like at different times, and then it wouldn't hurt as much.
So in the future, we may not have the same situation.
Yeah, like maybe
If
you have to
do-
replace a third of the skates, and then you just do a maintenance plan where every so many years, maybe we could sell the skates and then just get ahead of it and buy new ones.
Mhm. Yeah, we can trim that one down if you want. Would you like to do that?
I guess I don't know what everybody else thinks. I know that you talked about this at the fire department meeting a little bit, Eric, about being on like a replacement schedule for equipment.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're talking about how to execute it.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you would be
implement
better
it?
at that than me.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's a good suggestion if you want to make a motion if needed. I'd certainly second it.
Do we need a motion to change the, or do we want to figure out what's the highest priority, how many we're going to submit?
I guess my opinion would be, I think it would be good, one of the reasons we had the meeting this month was to try to get it approved. And I think that's kind of the request we have gotten. So I think in the end, our goal should be to have a list of some sort that we approve. That would be my
Okay.
hope. Things take long enough, but to keep moving forward. So then if the commission agrees with that, then our goal would be to get that list that we would get a motion to approve what exactly it looks like. As I mentioned a month or two ago, it is, over the years, it's been really difficult to know how to do this in a good way. One thing I was just looking at, not necessarily looking at the order, there are 3 items on here that are repeat requests. They were legitimate requests when they were requested the first time. It doesn't mean we have to put them forward again, but they're not going away. It seems like the pool heater is something we need to do. So I would think that would need to be on the list. And, I don't know, do we try, what's so tricky is we've never gotten a number from council. $100,000 or 50, so we can trim off $7,000 off skates and they might not even care. It may be, so it's really difficult. I see your point a lot, but it's so difficult for us as a commission
There's
to.
a council member right here
Yeah.
watching, and I kind of talked about this last time. If we have integrity as a commission, that's what they're asking us to do, is understanding in the big picture of things. There's never enough money
Mhm.
developing a budget. I understand why they don't give us a number, because typically if you do that, then that's what comes back. So I think, that would be a small change.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some other, I don't know, if we have some other ideas, it's worth our time to
I guess.
do the best job we can with this. Otherwise, we're just kind of delegating our authority up to them. And, whereas
Yeah.
if we have integrity and they know we're doing our due diligence here,
Right. I guess I would
you tend
suggest.
to get your budgets through.
I would
when
suggest
they
maybe doing half
Yeah.
for the skates, just to, show we are willing to make an effort on our end to cut things too a little bit, and hopefully they'll accept the rest of them then, because I don't think we should really be cutting out any of these items entirely. Like Dan said, there's 4 repeat requests, and I guess I'm curious how many repeat requests we've had over the years, the past decade,
There are,
and how many have fallen into projects that never were done then.
yeah, there are more that exist. And so hearing the conversation, I know we have done this in the past as well. Here's a suggestion, but to approve this list, as it sits, or if you want to tweak a couple of numbers here or there, we certainly can. Things like skates, I know we can do for sure, and trim 5, and then next year we ask for 5, or however we want to do it.
Yeah.
But then within that, and we can do this at any point in time before we have that the actual budget discussions with City Council, is we can further prioritize this list. So if we kind of have all right, if push comes to shove within this priority order, if we receive clear direction, let's go with this one, and this one. These are the must-haves. But at least this list exists, and it puts the onus on council.
I mean, I think our job here is to ask for what we think is necessary, not necessarily to make that budget decision. That is the city council's job, is to have that final say of what is going to fit into the budget. We're trying to ask for what we think should happen and is necessary to a certain extent, but wants too. Obviously, like the keypad locks and the key fobs are more wants than necessary right now.
Yep.
And that's something I would be curious about is, do you think the keypad locks would be more beneficial than the key fobs? Or I see you already have them ranked here, but
Yeah.
I guess maybe your explanation for those two?
Those are there would be very close as to which one would probably the keypad locks would create a little more efficiency for us right away, I think, from a park rental standpoint.
Yeah.
From a functionality standpoint, fobs at the Smith Center have a fair amount of value in building operations too, but I think I would probably go with the shelters first.
Okay. Yeah, that was my inclination too. But yeah, I know the library recently got fobs, and it is nice to be able to not have to fumble through keys, and it is more secure as well.
Yeah.
So I guess looking at them as well, they're potentially I'm looking at what could we pare down. Well, we talked pretty thoroughly about the skates. The signs, I guess we could pare that down and not replace all the signs, but do that in rotating as well. But most of the rest of them are pretty fixed cost. We're going to replace a heater or not. We're going to replace a basketball court or not. So I think, Dan, your idea of ranking them, that these 3 are our priorities. We're going to put forward the entire list, or we're going to put forward 6 items, but they are ranked in the priority order, and the top 3 are really, I think that is a way we could do it.
The needs first, yeah.
Right. These are all worthy or going to be needed, but these 3 are
Absolutely
needed now.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. But if the commission agrees with that, then we could go that route, and we just need to order them and get our list of however many we want to put forward.
Well, I think Kyle's suggestion on the skates is good, and I agree with you, Dan. We could look at the signs in phases. And
I know, like,
and looks like we switched the order of 7 and 8 at a minimum.
Sure.
Yeah, if you do one and you get some efficiency out of it, that's what the council wants to hear. Okay, we're investing this to get efficiency out of it. And the fobs using technology then after that to do the same. That'd be a good way to proceed. And we were over 200 here. Just those few changes there, we'd be, we would have trimmed it about 20-25% already. So that's a good exercise and good progress forward, I would say.
I guess I'm curious with the signs, because we kind of mentioned the marketing committee before with having a standardized brand for new signs potentially. It sounds like we'd have pretty consistent manufacturer for signs more than likely, so it'd be fairly consistent if we did 50-50.
Yeah, and that would, if for signs specifically, then what we would do that would be something that we would work on here as far as what we want them to look like. I think we
Okay.
want that new logo
Yeah.
on there somewhere, and however we place it. But the main thing would be Lions Park. How
Yeah.
that design is, and then as the City of Merrill Parks and Rec Department.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kyle. That came up. I mean, that could be an item we say, here we're proposing in the budget. If it's not accepted in the Park and Rec budget, then we need marketing communications to put it in there or make provisions and or look at funding. Because what good does it do to spend money that we already spent on a new brand and not implement it?
Yeah. You're here.
I guess so. Just to clarify, should we do half of the signs and then half later, and then the skates do half and half, and then reorder 7 and 8, or what was everyone else feel about that? I don't want to.
How many of the signs are really bad?
All of them.
All of them?
Except for the Smith Center. That one the tornado took care of for us. Yep. And that one was in not that great a shape, but the tornado went right over the top of it, so we got a new sign out of that one. But yeah, there is, outside of the Rotary Park and Banker Square, those are two newer ones because they're two newer parks that we've taken on or inherited since I started. But the rest of them, like I said, I know exactly how they're installed because I had to do them back in the 90s. 4x4s, and there's plastic covering over the top, and it's like the foam stuff on it. It's just it lasted probably a little longer than it normally would, but it's been a while. But if you do, the Riverside one fell off. We had to temporarily mount it. That fell off of itself already. There's a few that are getting fairly close to that. It's curb appeal. I don't know if people realize how many people visit our parks on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. It looks bad. It looks terrible. So
Dan, I was going to ask you about the Banker Square and the Rotary Park. So would this budget amount include upgrading those and standardizing them with the rest? Because they don't have the new.
Yeah, and we'll see. They do have the ability to, if we need to have them embossed or something like that with the logo on it. I know that they've done that out here as well, but that would be part of it so that they're uniform. But the bones of those are good yet.
Well, Kyle, I guess to answer your question, we either could propose phasing it here, although Dan could make that point in
At
the
this-
budget
yeah.
discussions that, of course, we could phase it. But maybe with this item, in order to get engagement with the marketing communications, say, look, we've quantified, these are park signs, so we're bringing it forth, but we're looking for, funding assistance on this, as we think fits the bigger promotion and tourism of the city. And we've got repeat items on here that we feel are critical. We're looking for help on this one. To me, that would be the time to then engage with the council on it and say, how do we solve this collectively? Otherwise, I agree with your order there, Kyle, the other items you suggested.
Mm-hmm.
I think key fobs would be nice. If it were me submitting the list, I think I'd take the last 3 items off for this year. But that's just my opinion, though. And have 6 items in a more concise list.
Like like I said, I am fine with whatever, we whatever you guys do. It's my responsibility to bring you things that we know would either help us or become more efficient, or things that are in disrepair and need to be replaced. After that, it is to your discretion how you wanna play it.
Would anyone like to make a motion? Or is there any further discussion? Or if someone wanted to make a motion, we could entertain a motion at this time.
What order are we thinking they should go in again?
I think what I had heard was if we submit the entire list, we would just switch around 7 and 8, that the keypads would move up to 7 and the fobs would be 8. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I guess that's.
But then if we submit the full list, and everything else would stay.
I think the skate rental, per Kyle's suggestion, would be 5, and we'd say we'd like to do it in 2 phases.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
But I think we also talked about, would we put both the keypad locks, once we switch the order there, question would be, do we ask for the fobs this year, or do we say, hey, we'll take this step this year and then come back with the fobs the following? And in that way, we'd be dropping the bottom 2.
So submit 7, a list of 7, the top 7 then, yeah.
I'd be willing to make that motion.
I'd be comfortable with that, yeah.
So we have a motion to submit items 1 through 7, with 7 being keypads, and item number 6 being a 2-part request with 5,000 this year. Did I capture that motion correctly?
Correct. Correct.
Is there a second to that motion?
So the keypads are in your motion.
Yes,
But not the
But not
fobs.
the fobs.
but not the fobs.
The locks.
Right, correct, keypad locks. And we're keeping the full amount of the park entrance signs, and to get engagement on that with the council overall. And really, Dan, I'm sure you can deliver the message, hey, we're taking a big hit for the team here. Yes, they're park signs, but it's also part of the bigger marketing program.
Yes, you bet.
If I may inquire, I was just down at Prairie Trails the other day, so I thought the decking and rails looked okay, but I guess I'm not an expert on bridge integrity, so.
So, okay, yeah, there's some spots where you can see it starting to curl up and,
Yeah.
and pull loose from carriage bolts. The reason why I brought this up is with a bridge, I don't want it to go any further than just okay.
Right.
Because then we're in trouble.
Right,
It's not a boardwalk path or anything like that. It's a bridge over water.
yeah.
So that was my concern, was to not let it go from okay to not okay.
Right.
So
I guess, yeah, so in your opinion, would that one be something to keep in, or not, or
Can
is
we
it
get by without
with
it?
another year?
Sure, but this is something that within the next 2 years this is gonna have to happen.
Okay. I guess I'm more comfortable with leaving.
On the table right now.
Yeah,
Is there a second motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion to that motion?
I guess now would be the proper time. I would be more comfortable with leaving the full list, and like Dan said, we could leave it as a draft. I understand that's why we had the meeting, was to finalize it potentially. It just seems like a lot of these things are stuff that on the surface level looks a certain way, but when you explain it, they're all basically needs at this point, other than maybe the key fob stuff. That's just my opinion. Is it'd be better to leave the full list and have the skate rental and explain that we're willing. I guess if we finalize this, can we even do a 50-50 later on the signs? It's up to the council, I suppose. Anyways, they can choose whatever they want. It doesn't matter what we submit. But yeah, I'd be more comfortable with leaving it fully and asking for more rather than less. That's just my opinion.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye, no, however you want it.
The motion is carried. Agenda item number 4, update on the Lincoln County ARPA fund request. What have you heard, Dan, or has there been some movement?
I did talk to Renee at Lincoln County, and there is nothing to report yet at this time. I think they've had a few curveballs thrown their direction here recently. They have had a number of discussions on a lot of the projects that were put forth, not only by us, but other entities, and they have not yet made final determinations. It sounded like they have another round of discussions and hopefully some decisions or solutions at the end of July. But that is also not a guarantee. I know they do have time to allocate the money and time to spend it, but they've been grappling with those decisions.
You know, and just so I understand, what level are those discussions happening on? Is that full county board, or is that at a committee level?
I know it was just on their county board meeting, the previous one that was
Yeah.
on their agenda.
And I think they have a couple of other, trying to think of what committee has been driving that. I don't know all of their different committees, but there is one committee, it must be similar to like our personnel and finance or something like that, that has driven some of those discussions. I don't know exactly which one though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully by August, we'll have some more news.
Yeah, I'll
Some
let you
news.
know when I know.
Yeah, thank you. Next agenda item, July monthly reports. So thank you very much, as always, Dan, for your monthly report. Does anyone have any questions on his monthly reports? And anything you'd like to highlight for us, Dan?
Just, I guess the only thing so far, I mean, weather's been a little interesting, as everybody knows, but I don't like saying this out loud, so I'll knock on wood. Since our pool fix, it's been running smoothly. No leaks. Everything's been contained, and on the good days, we've had very big turnouts, and it's been good. So we keep our fingers crossed for more days like today and less of those rainy 65-degree days. So otherwise, summer's been going good so far. Busy as can be for us, but good.
It's good. Nice that people are out having fun again.
It is.
Wasn't that way just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Amen.
Did
Good.
you start work on the Nicholas Bridge then?
Yes.
You did?
Yep.
Okay.
So, Ellen Becker is on schedule to slightly ahead of schedule. So we're hoping that within the next 2 weeks to have them here. So, hopefully.
I guess I assume we'll post that to social media and make it well known that it's closed for
Absolutely.
construction.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Next, excuse me, next agenda item, set a date and a time for the next meeting.
Would be
What is the first Wednesday in August?
August 7th.
August 7th, 4:15 p.m., City Hall Council Chambers. Is there any public comment at this time? So please state your name and address for the record? And then we would love to hear your thoughts.
Yep. Nathan Meyer, 208 East 4th Street, 3rd District Alderman, too, for the City Council. I just want to say thank you for going through this list as thoroughly as you did. I know it's not easy, and I appreciate cutting some of the things. Obviously, that helps the council tremendously, and obviously the council will end up cutting down to what it thinks. Can only speak for myself on that one. And I do also want to mention that the ARPA funding is done through the County Board's Insurance and Finance Committee. I was just looking that up while you guys were discussing that. So I just give you a heads up, that's through their Finance and Insurance Committee at their level. But otherwise, thank you for looking at all that and helping us make our decision.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I am so moved.
And a second?
Sure. Either way.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.